So the other day we talked about a story. Alex Jones skipped a deposition in the court case about the Sandy Hook parents and he said he was sick. Oh, I can't come in, I'm sick. And then he did a 4-hour show. So he basically just lied. He just lied because obviously the show puts more stress on your body than sitting for a deposition would, but he did the show, he didn't sit for a deposition, and then, he still, after being caught, he still, doubled down and was like, no, I'm really sick, I can't come in. Okay, well, if you're sick, then how the hell could you do your show? Anyway, so now we learn this. Alex Jones was held in contempt of court for skipping deposition. Quote, the InfoWars host was ordered to pay $25,000 per weekday, which will increase to $50,000 per day beginning Friday until he sits for depositions, his lawyer said. So let me give you more here. Title, Alex Jones found in contempt of court for not showing up to Sandy Hook suit deposition, faced $25,000 per day fine. It says the same thing as the tweet we just read. Let's see what else they have in the article here. A Connecticut judge found, let me X this out. A Connecticut judge found InfoWars host Alex Jones in contempt Wednesday after he failed to appear for a deposition in a lawsuit filed by victims' families in Sandy Hook Elementary School shootings, Jones' lawyer said. The judge, Barbara Bellis, said Jones will face a per weekday fine starting at $25,000 until he sits down for blah, blah, blah. We already talked about all this. Bellis said Jones hadn't produced enough evidence to support his claim that he missed a deposition last week because of health problems. In November, Bellis found Jones liable for damages over his claims that the December 14, 2012 shooting, which left 20 first graders and 6 educators dead, was a hoax. The deposition is for a coming trial that will determine how much Jones should pay the families of 8 victims and an FBI agent involved in the case. The group has said they face death threats and harassment over Jones' claims. Jones has since said he believes the shooting occurred. In the filing, Pattis cited a scheduling conflict and asked Bellis to delay the fines until April 11th. It wasn't immediately clear how she would rule. The victims' families on Tuesday rejected an offer from Jones to pay each of them $120,000. So I have that over here as well. Sandy Hook relatives reject Jones' settlement offer of $120,000 each, calling it a transparent and desperate attempt by Alex Jones to escape a public reckoning under oath with his deceitful, profit-driven campaign against the plaintiffs and the memory of their loved ones. So I just want to remind you guys of what happened in this case again. So Alex Jones was sued by the Sandy Hook families because he said it was a hoax, and of course these families lost their kids, so they were furious about that. But the real reason they were suing him was because they were basically being relentlessly harassed by people who were in Alex Jones' audience. Now, Alex Jones, he claims now, and he claimed after the fact, I don't know what you guys are talking about, I never called it a hoax. Well, we happen to have the video of Alex Jones. I mean, it went on for, there were at least a dozen different clips in there from a dozen different shows where he, in no uncertain terms, calls it a hoax, calls it a false flag, calls it a conspiracy, says the kids didn't even die, they're crisis actors, etc., etc., etc. Now, I would show you guys that video, but it's been banned on YouTube because I covered it previously and that video was pulled down. Now, I mean, I know that's insane because, of course, I'm covering it to debunk it, but they treat that the same as if you're, promoting the idea, and so they don't allow it on there. Now, Twitter does allow it, so the video is still up on Twitter, but I can't, unfortunately, I can't show it here on YouTube, but, so now he lies and says, well, no, I never said those things. Well, you did, and we have it on tape. But remember, in the case he wasn't found guilty of, libel or slander or defamation or anything like that, he was found guilty by default, which means he didn't provide the court with the documents that he was required by law to provide them with. And so there's a default ruling against him. Now, it's a very rare thing to happen in court, but it did happen in the case of Alex Jones. And honestly, look, I've said this before, I'll say it again, this is the least bad scenario you could possibly envision. Because from everything I've seen about what Alex Jones said, what he said was despicable and gross and disgusting and way over the line and dead wrong, factually dead wrong. But the fact of the matter is, he never, gave out the addresses of these people and then told his fans to, go harass them or go make their lives a living hell. There was never a direct connection with him telling people to take action. And my understanding is that actually would need to be proven in order for him to be found guilty of defamation or libel or slander or anything like that, because we have very strong free speech protections in this country. So actually the way the court ruled is the least bad of all the bad options. because you're not setting a precedent that chills free speech and would, like, you know, make it illegal to spew any conspiracy theory. But he's also sort of being held accountable for what he did and what he said. And so, I don't know. Are they going to be paid? They rejected $120,000 each. Are they going to be paid $1 million each? Is there going to be something else that happens? I don't know. But obviously, I'll be following this closely. You know, Alex is, he really is, he's just a stunning liar. Like, he's just an astounding liar. He lies so shamelessly that it really, you know, shakes your support in humanity. Like, it makes you feel like, Jesus, if this guy says this, like, is there anything he won't say? And so, anyway, we'll see what ends up happening with it, but obviously he's in hot water now. Obviously the case is not going well for him. Obviously he's, you know, face planting and making a fool of himself and trying to dodge accountability, but ultimately, man, look, it's not going to work, because he's already really deep into this. So I hope that those families get justice in one way or another, even if it's just like a big check that goes to each of them. And yeah, Alex Jones doing classic Alex Jones stuff.